everybody, welcome to the Wealth Advisory's Top Stocks to Own, our top 10 for November 2023. As you may have noticed, we are not in our regular attire. We are, in fact, in what you might call irregular attire.
This is actually what I wear.
Oh, this is, okay, I'm sorry. I lied.
This is what I wear in my everyday life.
Regular attire, but Maverick here is wearing his regular attire. And for today, I'll be his co-pilot here, his wingman, Goose. And the reason that we're dressed like this is, one, I mean, obviously you know that today's Halloween as you're getting this. It's not Halloween as we're recording it, so it is like kind of irregular for us to be wearing costumes. But two, Jason, or Maverick as we're going to call him today, uncovered a really, really exciting opportunity in the defense sector. And he's dubbed it Project Wingman. I can just summarize it and sort of say that it's basically support drones powered by AI to help human manned aircraft stay safe. But I'll let him get into a little bit more detail before we get started.
Right, yeah. Project Wingman is basically what I kind of renamed. The military has a program, it's called Collaborative Combat Aircraft, which is obviously a bit more of a mouthful, so we just call it a Project Wingman. But yeah, they are basically either semi-autonomous or even in some cases autonomous drones that are being deployed alongside our manned fighter jets to enhance their own survivability. I mean, you do have these, like say an F-35 that costs, something north of $70 million a piece, and you're putting it in a highly contested environment, and, to say nothing of the life of the pilot. But with these drones that only cost $5 to $15 million on the high end, they can fly alongside, out in front. They can perform a lot of really, really vital tasks.
They can sort of be a vanguard,
scout out enemy defenses. Yeah, like help with targeting. Even when it comes down to acting like a human shield, just distracting
a robot shield.
Enemy aircraft systems from the higher value target and giving them a lot more breathing room, taking over any of that reconnaissance and all kinds, even deploying their own ordnance. Even having missile bays and rocket bays themselves, they can,
because typically, like traditionally, these planes aren't flying by themselves. Usually there's at least two manned aircraft going out. So
right.
This is saving one manned aircraft, one human.
Sure, it's a force multiplier.
And it's a force multiplier for that one single one.
Exactly, and
a squadron of one.
It really is still about, and we're getting there into this future, about just mass and having critical mass, and the rate at which a country like China is building its military up and its own fighters and trying to expand its own air force, in an effort just to keep up with the numbers. Having these smaller aircraft that can increase the survivability of your fighters and take down more expensive aircraft themselves, or attack enemy ships, if, swarms or otherwise, it's extremely valuable. And so yeah, I've got the company behind it. We've got the stock. It just really moved through a strong phase where for years they were testing this. For years it was a trial program. They had all this stuff going on, and now they're in the phase where they're actually ordering these things. They're actually building them. The Air Force wants 1,000 to start. There's going to be thousands more down the line.
That sounds like a big revenue driver.
Yeah, we'll put a link to Project Wingman down in the comments or the description of the video, I'm sure, and you can click on that to get more details.
Definitely. We'll make sure to put one down there. So you should definitely check that out. And now with that out of the way, we're obviously going to keep our costumes on because we don't have time for an outfit change. We have outfits for it. And we're going to get into the top 10 stocks. For those of you watching on YouTube, it's going to be the top 4 stocks or the bottom 4 of the top 10. However that works out. Basically, we're going to give each of us are going to give 5 picks, but we do this as a service for our paying subscribers to the Wealth Advisory, and we highly recommend everybody join. But we want to give sort of like a little freebie out and let you have a taste of what we have to offer. So we put the first 4 stocks out on YouTube. After that, we're going to cut it off and we'll reserve the top 6 stocks for our paying subscribers. But if you'd like to join, we'll put a discounted offer to become a member of the Wealth Advisory down there with the link to Jason's report. I highly recommend you join. It's really cheap and you get a lot of value, way more than just the top 10. But as always, if you decide not to join us, we won't hold that against you, and we'll keep doing this for as long as you want to watch. All we ask is that you subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, drop some comments, let us know what you think, maybe some other coverage that maybe you'd like to see on the YouTube channel, and hit the bell, I think I said that already, to make sure that you get notified, but definitely do it twice. or 3 times to make sure that you don't like click off of it on the second time. So anyway, let's get into this. We had a rough month last month. The markets have had a couple of rough months recently. Our stocks actually performed pretty well. We had a couple of double-digit gainers. One of yours went up double digits. One of mine went up double digits. Some of ours went down with the markets too. But I think that those 2 big gainers really pulled us up, and we achieved our goal of beating the indexes, which is something that the majority of hedge funds can't do, and have proven time and time again. So there's a little bit of the value to a subscription to the Wealth Advisory right there. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into it. I think we've got a really good list this month. We've got some contrarian picks. We've got some that are sort of going on momentum from last month. We've got some really interesting ones for you, and I think we can beat the market again. So let's go ahead and get into it, and we won't take too much more of your time because we know you probably got candy to hand out or candy to go get. So anyway, I'll kick things off with my first pick, which may surprise some people. Because it's kind of odd. I mean, you might think it's odd. You might think it's a poor choice, but I'm going to go ahead and power through and make it anyway, as I like to do. Because look, I'm not gonna mince things here. Chewy's got like problems laid out ahead of it. It's got challenges ahead of it. The economy's not looking great. Inflation is really cutting into people's spending power. You're seeing the consumer spending more, but they're not really getting more. They're in fact getting less and spending, and just spending more because things cost more. But I think that's really priced into Chewy's shares already, and I think that investors have gone a little bit overboard in the revaluation of the company. It's expanding into new markets. Most recently, it expanded into Canada to grow that customer base even bigger. And it's trading at multiples literally lower than anything in the company's past. I mean, it's never been trading at multiples this low. It's a contrarian trade, and I might be trying to catch a falling knife here, but I think we can maybe grab the handle and keep our fingers. So we're going to give it a shot, and I'm going to make Chewy my number 5 pick, our number 10 pick this month.
Nice.
And before I forget, I'll give you the ticker symbol, which is CHWY. Chewy. All right. And clear that off before I pass this to my partner here.
Okay. So you're going to notice a definite theme in a lot of my picks today. But we're going to start off because obviously the big news this month was that major kind of war that's broken out between Hamas and Israel.
Yeah, nobody's even talking about Ukraine anymore.
Yeah, all of a sudden Ukraine's kind of gone to the back burner because now we have this situation in the Middle East that is very quickly spiraling out of control. I mean, and if you're not aware even, there were 17 attacks on U.S. personnel and assets over the past week and a half.
Yeah, I understand. Rockets are being targeted at our bases.
Yeah, exactly. And so we just had retaliatory airstrikes in Syria against, these proxy groups that are, funded by Iran, which also funded Hamas, and Israel's preparing a full-on ground invasion of the Gaza Strip, and that's gonna make things worse. So now's the time. I mean, we talked about this past month for stocks. This month was really good for defense contractors, okay? Mm-hmm. And that's going to be a trend that you see go forward. And when you start looking at defense contractors, you're going to look at number 1 overall, the biggest in the world, Lockheed Martin. Lockheed, in just the past quarter, among other things, they invested in long lead supply chain parts and equipment to make more javelins. These are the anti-tank missiles that they use to great effectiveness in Ukraine. They were so effective at destroying Russian tank columns that Ukrainians have even been naming their children after them. They're naming their kids Javelin and Javelina. Like they absolutely impressive. Love it. And
so I should be laughing about war, but
well, I mean that is kind of crazy. Yeah, I mean I've even seen that they were making like Ukrainian women are sewing plushies, like cotton, like stuffed animals, but of the Javelin and Stinger missiles for their kids to play with. That's the kind of psychological impact. I mean, these people are fighting for their lives over there, True. And these are the things that are helping them achieve that and do that. And when everybody else in the world saw how effective those Javelins were, they started lining up for them. Brazil started ordering. I don't know what tanks Brazil has to fend off, but they are going to be ready. Obviously in Europe, in Eastern Europe, rising defense budgets there, a lot of concern about Russia, rightfully so. They want these things, and now Lockheed's investing in ramping production up to meet demand because right now the demand is just so far ahead of what they can actually produce. On top of that, They also built a 500 kilowatt laser weapon. It's the most powerful laser weapon in the U.S. military right now. And they're advancing. They just had a test for the next generation interceptor. And so this is our missile shield that protects the continental United States from ICBMs fired from overseas. So, I mean, it might be kind of disconcerting to learn that our missile shield on a good day is probably only about 80% effective, which means if
Should you
Russia...
be saying that on the internet?
if Russia, they know, if Russia were to launch, say 5, ICBMs at us, we could expect to intercept 4 at best. And then obviously it would scale up from there, whether it was 10, 15, 20, or however many. It's the threat's getting bigger with the development of hypersonics and hypersonic glide vehicles in Russia and China, where they have newer, advanced, more accurate ICBMs. So they're working on this next generation interceptor that's going to be able to help defend against these threats. These are big projects that they're working on, like whether it's javelins or, the missile shield. There's, they really run the gamut in terms of scope and, survivability. On top of that, the commercial business, there's a company that does a tremendous amount of work in the aerospace sector, especially for NASA. There was just recently OSIRIS-REx. It was this little robot that they sent to an asteroid. It collected samples from the asteroid and just returned to Earth with them. It took 7 years to do this.
That's really cool.
Lockheed Martin built that, and they are also, like I said a month or two ago, working on a thermonuclear propulsion system that is going to hopefully get our spacecraft and manned missions to Mars. So military, aerospace, a lot of government work. Lockheed Martin is the place to start, and especially now if you're looking for defense contractors, which again we're going to talk a lot about today, this is the place to start.
All right, I think that's a great one. I have always liked Lockheed, and we definitely have been, encouraging people to get invested in the defense contractors. You were saying you wish you had loaded up on it a little bit more in the top 10 last month.
Yeah, sure. If I had known
Right?
there, another war was going to break out. But
I heard from one of our other experts over here at Wealth Daily that Congress had loaded up on defense stocks in the previous month.
I think Alex Bolden would be on top of that.
Yeah. So you guys
over
should
at
definitely
Insider
check him out. Exactly. You should definitely check him out. He's got some interesting insights into that. So anyway, coming up on our number 8 stock. So this one also, I don't know, might strike people as another, poor choice. Like maybe I'm throwing you for a loop here with these first 2, but Equity Lifestyle Properties is my number 3 pick, my number 4 pick, our number 8 pick. I'll get the numbers straight by the end, probably, maybe not. The ticker symbol is ELS. I like that they write it for me, so I don't have to. Like I said, I might be throwing you guys for a loop, but I really, really, really wanted to get some real estate in here because it is extremely undervalued right now. And literally every time real estate has been this far undervalued, it has rebounded by triple digits in the next 2 to 3 years. Every single time. So I mean, that, that's why I really want to get real estate in here. I want to really drive that point home to everybody that you should really be looking at our real estate investment trusts because they're super undervalued compared to the assets that they hold, right? And every time this happens, they come back up triple digits, and you're going to look like a genius in front of your friends if you buy it now. So anyway, the Fed meets in the next few days, next week for us because we're recording this last week for you, who's watching it today. And, if that's not confusing enough. But anyway, they meet in the next few days, and they're most likely not going to raise rates, right? They're probably not going to cut them. They're probably not going to hike them. I think maybe they should hike them, but I'm not a member, so I don't get a vote. And so anyway, if they just continue their pause, that could give us a little life in the real estate sector because, the bond market might react to that, pull back a little bit. Rates right now are super high. The average rate on a 30-year mortgage for people with immaculate credit and at least 20% to put down, past 8% for the first time I think since 2007, something like that. It's up there, right? And that's been killing the real estate sector. The private real estate hasn't really been revalued the way the public real estate has, and that's why the value is here in public real estate. And ELS has one of the lowest risk operating models on the market because they basically have a near guaranteed return of their customers every year, their tenants, and they have near guaranteed annual rent increases built in. They just raised the rent on their manufactured home tenants about 50%. I want to say 50 to 60% of them, and it was a 5 to 6% rent increase. And then for their RV lot rentals, they increased that on. Gosh, it was above 90%. I want to say 99%, but don't quote me on that. You can quote me on the above 90. But anyway, above 90% of their of those tenants are now paying 7% more per year in rent. So basically, it's this low risk operating model. It doesn't have super high margins, but it pays really great dividends. It's really undervalued right now, and it's got the possibility to shoot up in the coming years. And it might shoot up in the coming months. Who knows? So we're gonna give it the number 8 spot as my number 4 pick for the 11th month of 2023 because this has been a very confusing explanation. So now I'll pass that back to our pilot over here and get to his next pick.
Yeah, and again, we have another defense contractor coming your way, another big one, and that's GD. And I recommended this company recently. And when I've been talking about this company over the past few months, it's been in the context of artillery shells, which they make quite a bit of, and which the Army is really, really reinvesting in. Because I think, as I've been at pains to point out, they're expending anywhere from 4,000 to 8,000 artillery shells a day over in Ukraine, and so they're literally going through millions. And the United States has, and the Army especially, has a huge program now to try to mass produce these things because we realize how valuable they are and how needed they are, and that when you get in these conflicts, that at the end of the day, you're still fighting with a lot of artillery. In this case, how this factors in to the war in the Middle East, I think is yet to be seen. But I can tell you this: General Dynamics will be a part of it, no matter what. And this is a company that just reported earnings, and you can already see the effect that the war in Eastern Europe and these government initiatives are having on its bottom line. Earnings per share of $3.04 beat the consensus estimate of $2.87, so they topped it by about 6%. Revenue also beat consensus. That was up 6% to more than $10.5 billion. Their total backlog, highest it's ever been, $95.5 billion, up 9% from the second quarter. Then they just got awarded on top of that. And again, we talk about Lockheed being not just a military contractor, but being active in aerospace. This is another company in General Dynamics where it's not just active in the defense sector. It's also just awarded a $450 million contract from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services to continue operating and modernizing their ledger accounting system. So, and that's been a main focus for General Dynamics, has been to break a little bit more into technology and kind of software applications. Again, not just in the military, but in the government. So, again, we're talking about a company that not only produces artillery shells, which are a bare bones necessity as much as bullets in the military, but is doing a lot of good tech work for the government. And you've seen it, like I said, you've seen it showing up in their earnings, and it's going to continue in this direction for the foreseeable future. So that's why I've got General Dynamics.
That's a really good one. That's a really good place for them to branch out into. That's definitely growth because we have a modern military and we maybe have sort of a kind of modern government, but like the technology that operates on.
Yeah, a lot of those government
When
bureaucracies.
I worked for the Army was man,
100%
really
true. Yeah. A lot of that needs to be revamped.
Yeah, very desperately. So there you have it, folks. That's our first 4. So we're going to do a little recap here, and we're going to cut it off for you guys who are watching on YouTube. But like I said, if you want to join us, you want to get the whole list, you want to get all of the benefits of being a member of the Wealth Advisory, click the link in the description below, the one that's near the report on Jason's special project. Well, it's not Jason's special project. It's another company's special project that Jason uncovered and would like to tell you about. So after you check out that, click on the link to get a membership of the Wealth Advisory. I promise it'll be well worth the money that you spend. But again, we'll continue to put these out as long as you want to watch them. So let's do a little recap, and then we'll say our goodbyes, and we'll let you you guys have a great month. So first up, my number 5 pick, our number 10 pick, Chewy. Like I said, you guys might think I'm crazy, but I mean, this is like the lowest the stock's ever been in the history of the company. It's below its IPO price. It's never been valued this low. I mean, it's got a relatively sticky business. I'm telling you, people keep feeding their pets. Like, people keep buying medicine for their
One
pets.
would hope,
like, it's something that you do if you're a pet owner. Like, and I can attest to that because I am one, and he's expensive, but like, I love him. So he gets food and he gets it delivered by Chewy. I think they're going to come back. It might not be this month, but it could be. But I really like them, so I think they're underpriced and undervalued and could pop. So next up is Maverick's number 5 pick, our number 9 pick.
Yeah, Lockheed Martin, the biggest defense contractor in the world. Again, we're looking at, things looked bad a month ago. They look even worse now. And the only people that seem to have things improving for them and going well for them, whether it's in the market or wherever, are defense contractors, and we've been breaking these out. I've been breaking these out piecemeal ever since I started up here at the Wealth Advisory back in the spring. And, if you've gotten in on them, then, you're feeling pretty good about where your portfolio's out over the past couple weeks. So Lockheed Martin is definitely the place to start if you're looking around now and going, well, I want to invest in defense contractors. Is it too late? No. Where do I start? Right there at Lockheed Martin.
Beautiful. I love it. All right, coming up next, my number 4 pick, our number 8 pick. We had to get some real estate in here because real estate, especially REITs, are just crazy undervalued right now. Every time this happens, they shoot back up in the next couple of years, and I really want everybody to have some exposure to them. They could get some life this month if the Fed continues to pause. If they cut rates, they'll definitely get life. I don't expect a cut, but a pause I do, and I think that could maybe inject a little bit of activity into these shares and give us a little gain for November. And so finally, before we cut off...
Right, yeah, General Dynamics, another big-time defense contractor, just absolute staple, both these companies, long history of paying dividends and, giving back to shareholders, a big share buyback programs. They're always on top of that kind of stuff when it comes to the business of the business. And then, like I said, picking up government work and, the Medicare and Medicaid office is, it's a huge amount of money, and we all know that the government could stand to update a lot of its computers and software, and that's where they're really angling to get in addition to the staple military products that General Dynamics provides.
Yep, definitely. There you have it, our first 4 there. So like I said, we're going to cut it off for those of you watching on YouTube. If you'd like to join us after you check out Jason's report, click on the link. You'll get a discounted offer to join the Wealth Advisory. If you choose not to, like I always say, we'll never hold it against you, and we'll keep putting these videos out as long as you want to watch them. All that we ask is you subscribe to the channel, drop us a comment, give us a thumbs up if you like it. Please don't give us a thumbs down if you didn't. I mean, if you did, you know what? Be honest. Give us a thumbs down.
We can take it.
We can take it. We're confident. And hit the bell to make sure that you get notified of when we post new content. And with that, I bid you adieu. I hope you make some spooky profits. I hope you have a great Halloween and an excellent month, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, happy Halloween.